The race to 5G is on, and the battle for talent is getting fierce. Welcome to 5G Talent Talk with Carrie Charles, a podcast dedicated to helping you face the future workforce head on. Navigate this challenging talent landscape with innovative strategies to attract, retain, and engage people in this new world of work. Only here on 5G Talent Talk with Carrie Charles, CEO of Broadstaff Talent Solutions.
Hi, and welcome to 5G Talent Talk. I'm Carrie Charles, your host, and today I have a very special guest with me, Dave Mayo. Dave is the Executive Vice President of Network Deployment at Dish Network. Dave, thank you so much for being on the show with me today.
Great to be here, Carrie. Thank you.
So, Dave, you have had a long, successful career in telecom. Can you tell me about your journey and how you got to Dish?
Yeah, so very few people know this, but I'm a finance person by trade. I spent about 7 years in public accounting, and then went to work for a couple of clients of mine, and then wound up going to work at US West New Vector Group in a really exciting job in the accounting department, and all those process-related functions, accounts payable and inventory. But the real reason I was hired is I ended up putting MRP, materials requirements planning, in to help us build cell sites, because one of my clients back at Price Waterhouse was a manufacturer. And then I was at US West for about 3 years, and we got acquired by this company called AirTouch that ultimately became Verizon. And I didn't really want to move to Walnut Creek for my job, for the next job. So I looked around, and I ended up going to work for this little startup called Western Wireless, and I was like I worked for our CTO. I was the budget guy in the network organization, and that job a little over 2 decades just grew around me, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, building networks was a blast, and I'm reminded of that, and we'll talk more about that in my current job. But it's reminiscent of some of my current jobs, reminiscent of some of the fun that I had in the early days of VoiceStream. And then I kind of ran out of steam. There just wasn't a right role for me. So about a little over a year and a half ago, I took a sabbatical, and then found my way to Dish. I decided that, as in the waning hours of my non-compete, I would reach out to Charlie and see if he needed some help, because I had a sneaking suspicion he might. Right. And 6 weeks later, I found myself here in Littleton, Colorado.
And as you said, building a network, you're having a blast again, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun.
That's great. So tell me about the Dish story and your vision.
Yeah, well, it's the Dish story is pretty fascinating. I mean, Charlie, we were talking about this just yesterday. Charlie started this business 40 years ago. He's been in the DBS, the satellite business, for 40 years, and I've always watched Charlie from afar and with a lot of admiration as he acquired Spectrum over the last decade. And I always thought that he would ultimately sell it. I didn't really think that he would be a network builder until the Sprint T-Mobile deal kind of caused the obligation to occur to build a network. And I became increasingly convinced as I talked to Charlie that he was actually on a mission to build a network, which in a wireless business.
Right. So it's no secret, okay, that the challenges of building a virtualized software-driven network from scratch are real. So let's talk about some of these challenges that you're going to face, and how do you plan on overcoming them?
Yeah, I think when I got here, there were 3 things that became really apparent to me that I needed to do. I needed to build a team, and I feel really confident. It's been about 5 months now, and I've hired basically the 4 regional VPs, and I've hired all but 4 of the market leaders, and I'm really happy with the team that we've built. They're absolutely great. A lot of experience in my direct report leadership team. We have over a century and a half of wireless experience, which will pay big dividends in terms of what we need to accomplish over the next 3 years. The second thing is getting the radio designs completed, and we're pretty far along in that process as it relates to the 70% obligation, about 230 million pops that need to be covered by the middle of 2023. And then third is developing and building partner relationships. You probably might have seen the Crown Castle announcement
Yes.
from a week and a half or 2 weeks ago.
I did.
Really excited about that. Watch for more. We've also built relationships with many transport providers that you'll see announcements on, potentially as early as this week.
Good. That's exciting. So let's talk about the skeptics. There's a buzz out there that can Dish build a profitable business competing against 3 operators with far greater resources? What do you have to say to these skeptics?
Well, a couple of things. First, there's a lot of skepticism that the voice stream business would actually materialize into a business, and I think it's actually doing pretty well last time I looked. I think there's always room for innovation in this great country of ours, and I think that the thing that really strikes me about what we're doing is we're building a network that's unencumbered by the legacy. It's 5G only. We're not going to have to deal with 3G. We're not going to have to deal with 4G. And we're building it in an Open RAN framework that gives us the ability to do what we want to do with the network, not what the Scandinavian cartel wants us to do, which I think is pretty powerful. And it's going to give us the ability to do things that are really different and differentiable from the legacy carriers.
So were you a little skeptical in the beginning? I mean, how did you feel just walking into this?
Well, I wasn't. If I roll the clock back a couple of years, I was skeptical that Charlie would actually do this. But as I've watched the moves over the course of the last 18 to 24 months, they've all been very deliberate. And then as I talked to Charlie, it became really apparent that this was the real deal and he wanted to do it. And I wouldn't have come here if we weren't going to build a network. I'd be out golfing and skiing, you know that, Carrie.
Exactly, I know. Why would you work so hard unless it was really going to happen? That's
right. That's right.
That's great. That's great. So let's talk about the secret sauce to making this happen, and that's people. You're going to have to hire hundreds of people to really make this vision a reality. And would you say that this right now is your top priority?
Yeah, it's one of my top priorities. It's been, I'll say it from the first week I was here, it was my top priority. I think as I built the team, it's a decreased priority for me personally. I think there's still a lot of hiring that we need to do. But I think, we really want to hire really smart, motivated people. I mean, I think we've got a great process that helps us identify people that are both smart, motivated, and really fit into our culture well. And I think that's what we're really trying to do with the process. And I think, over the course of the last 3 or 4 months, I think we've improved the process and we'll continue to improve the process over time.
Yes, and I tend to agree with that. I have a personal experience with the hiring process because we are very blessed to be the national staffing partner for Dish Wireless and making this all happen. And in fact, I'm sitting in the office right now, probably 3 doors down from you, and we can't sit together and record because of COVID, but I've been here for a couple of months now. So just incredibly exciting opportunity for us. And yes, this is happening. So Dave, there has been some hiring challenges though, over the course of the last few months and year. What has caused those challenges in your opinion? And how are things different now moving into the future?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I think, the disbelief that we were actually going to do this was a bit of a challenge. And I think, if I roll the clock back, well, and frankly, it's even the pivots that the business had made. I mean, if I roll the clock back close to a year, the team was working on building a nationwide narrowband IoT network, which is a completely different build strategy and a different animal than what we're setting out to do today. And I think, there were some fits and starts that occurred as a consequence of, the ramp up and then ramp down when it became apparent that we were going to get some forbearance from the DOJ as it relates to the time to build out our licenses. And there was clearly a bit of a fit and start that I think frustrated some people externally, and I completely understand that. But But I'll say that we're on a clear and very deliberate mission to build a nationwide 5G network today. Make no mistake.
Yes, I second that. So there's just so much buzz around Dish right now. What is it like to be a Dish Wireless team member or a leader at this time?
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating time, and I was thinking about that over the weekend a little bit, and reflecting back, it's a time of just tremendous opportunity. There's so much that needs to be done, and there's so much ambiguity that the people that will really succeed, and I'm going to reflect back on my VoiceStream days. The people that succeeded were those that really handled ambiguity well and were able to get things done without a lot of guardrails. And I think those are the kinds of people that we're looking for to help us build this network. And it's exciting. It's tremendously exciting.
Yes.
And I'm really proud of the team we're building, because I think it's a first-rate team all the way around.
Yeah, I agree. You're making history. The team's making history, right?
Oh yeah. I think about it. This is, that's part of the reason I didn't retire is, gosh, this was just something I couldn't not do, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's just,
It
was too big a thing to be a part of. Yeah, sure, it would have been fun. I would have improved my handicap. I would have skied a lot, but this is so much more fun.
It is, and I'm having a great time. Dish has one of the most inspiring and motivating cultures that I have ever seen before. And I mentioned earlier that I've been here at the headquarters for a couple of months now, and I can tell you firsthand that there's this spirit in the air. Everyone has such passion and such excitement, and everyone's working toward this common mission. And it really truly feels like anything's possible, and it's going to happen. And that's how everyone feels here.
In no uncertain terms, it's going to happen.
Exactly. And I wondered that, but after I got here and I'm experiencing, the way that people are what they're giving and how, the mindset, it is definitely happening. And in fact, right outside my office is this mural of this big mountain, and at the top it says adventure. And I just feel like I could stay here forever. What, in your opinion, makes this Dish culture so special?
I think what makes it special. I think Charlie has a lot to do with it. I think Charlie's a fairly misunderstood individual. I think he's created the values, and it's all about, we look for people that have curiosity, that are proud of what they do. They have an adventuresome spirit, hence the mural of the mountain, and want to win. It's pretty easy. If you find those things in a candidate, you're actually going to make a good hire. And I think that that's the underpinning culture that we're trying to achieve here at Dish, and it makes so much sense to me. And again, it's reminiscent of what I experienced in the early days of VoiceStream. Although it's a little better articulated than it was in the early days, but I think as I reflect back as to what we were trying to do, we were trying to climb really huge mountains in not a lot of time, and this is not any different. In fact, I'd argue this is probably accelerated.
Yes. People today, Dave, they want more than just a job or more than a career. And, they want something that matters. They want to make a difference in whatever they're doing and whatever piece that they're contributing. They want to know that they're going to make a difference. They're going to do something that's never been done. And that's what people are craving right now, especially, in these uncertain times. So I think Dish is the perfect home for these types of people, really for people who want to win and who want adventure, and who want that curiosity and pride in their work. So it's just a phenomenal culture. Dish also has a strong commitment to diversity and inclusion that I've seen. There's many collective employee resource groups where every person at Dish can have a community and can be included and have connection. How are you building diversity on your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Charlie's perspective is if you hire for CPAW, which is, curiosity, pride, adventure, and winning, you'll create diversity in and of itself. But I also say that, we've taken some steps to ensure that we hire a diverse team, both in physical presence and as well as thought, which is ultimately the most important thing to me. My direct report team is extraordinarily diverse.
Yes.
And I'm really proud of that. I appreciate that because they all have different perspectives and they all have enough difference in their backgrounds and their gender and their nationality that I really appreciate what all that brings and also their experiences.
Yes.
Which makes us a stronger team.
100%. Dave, it produces diversity of thought, and diversity breeds innovation.
Yep.
Would you agree?
You bet.
Yes, and you are an innovative company, to say the least. So that's exciting. Let's talk about growth and development, because I know that people, when they enter, they're looking for a new career, a new role. The first thing they ask is, okay, where do I see myself here? What options do I have for growth and development? So let's talk a little bit about those opportunities and leadership at Dish Wireless.
Yeah, I think, look, I think this is might be one of the best places to be from an opportunity set perspective, because the business it's a young business. And when you enter a young business, it creates all sorts of growth opportunities that will exist for the next, decade or even 20 years. I'd say people have to be flexible, and if they're flexible in terms of location, my gosh, there's so much that needs to be done, and there's so much opportunity for those people that get in on the ground floor and grow their careers with Dish.
Yes, I tend to agree 100%. So what would you say to someone who is, they're considering an opportunity with Dish, or they've heard the buzz, they've heard the excitement, they're thinking about joining the team? What would you say to them right now?
Well, come on down. It's a great place to be. And it's going to be only better when we start building network and start adding customers. It's going to be just a really, really fun place to be. Not that it's not today, but it's going to be even more fun.
Yeah, exactly.
When we get points on the board. Right now, we're really planting a lot of seeds, plowing dirt, planting seeds and watering the seeds, and they are going to grow. I'd say keep your eye on the website, careers.dish.com/wireless, ASPX, because there's jobs that are constantly posted on the website. And, right now we're trying to build the field team, radio frequency engineers, site development folks, site acquisition specialists. As we move through time, we'll be looking for transport engineers and transport coordinators. We're also trying to build, the operations team here in Littleton, Colorado, and that's going to entail, folks that have NOC-based experiences, folks that have system engineering experiences, transport experience, and who are really smart and want to do great things. So keep your eye on the job board, because there's new positions out there almost every week.
Yes, and could you say that job board, the site one more time?
Yeah, it's careers.dish.com/wireless ASPX.
Got it. So, it's interesting. You said there's so many opportunities in Littleton, and I've never really experienced Colorado before, especially Littleton. Yeah. And I have been here now for a couple of months, and I am absolutely in love, Dave. I want to spend, and I've already told my fiance, I said, look, we are going to spend at least 2-3 months here a year. And my home is in Florida, in Tampa, but I am in love with this place. Actually, I'm in love with it. I mean, how do you feel about it here?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's, I've lived in Seattle all of my adult life, and I forgot that there was this thing up in the sky, this round globe, and it's out almost every day here. It's phenomenal.
It is.
These winter months in Seattle, you don't see the sun very often. So I've really enjoyed the weather. coming in almost every morning. The top's down, and it's great. And the weather's just awesome. And people are really nice too. I mean, it's just a terrific place.
I agree. I do agree. Dave, it has been a pleasure. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, and I just want to thank you for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure, Carrie. Nice to do it. Thank you.
I'll see you in a minute. I'll come say hi.
All right.
Okay. Take care.
Thank you for listening to another informative episode of 5G Talent Talk, brought to you by RCR Wireless News, Telecom Careers, and Broadstaff Talent Solutions. As we advance into the future, we promise to bring you the resources you need to navigate this ever-changing landscape of 5G to help you attract, retain, and engage people in this new world of work. To access the show notes or leave a review, visit broadstaffglobal.com. Until next time.